Hey, old man, give me everything.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me.
All right, boys. Well, the changes that we were dreading are finally here. And let me tell you, they are a lot worse than I thought they would be. Honestly, I thought they were just going to tackle the boosting problem, but it looks like they went a step further, and a lot of our gold farms have been reduced to nothing. So it's pretty disappointing, to say the least, but it's not all grim news. I mean, there is still a few things we can pull off. So let me just kind of go over all of this with you, and I'll tell you what is still possible, what isn't possible, and what you should do to make money in the future. First things first, right when I woke up this morning, I saw that they had implemented these changes. I had a ton of messages and pings in Discord, and I finally hopped on and I started a stream. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. It was so much fun. I had a really good time hanging out with you guys. The chatters were very helpful. We were testing all the different farms. I basically just went through all the old dungeons that I've made videos about, and I was testing out all the content, seeing if we could still farm it. It didn't look too good from my testing, but there are still some things we can do, as I said. So I'll just go ahead and go over my big list with you of everything that isn't possible and is possible, and you can decide for yourself what you want to try out. First things first, LBRS has been completely destroyed and utterly crushed under Blizzard's big boot, and that is because LBRS has a little bit longer kill times than most dungeon farms because the mobs in there have a little bit higher HP. So after 1 minute of being in combat with them, you will be constantly stun locked into the ground and you will just inevitably die. Now you can get around this by pulling smaller packs, but once you start doing this, your gold power is just absolutely horrible, and you really can't take too many mobs before you have to start killing them in order to meet that timer. So LBRS, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to you. It was fun. This was the one that I spent the most hours on. I spent the most time in this dungeon. I had a great time figuring out all the gold farms, how to min-max the efficiency, the log out spots, the boosting spots, how to do the rocket boots thing to make it so that they don't evade and bug out, and all kinds of stuff. So unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to LBRS forever. May you rest in peace. I will miss you. You were a lot of fun and you were a big part of the channel. So see you later, LBRS, and thank you, Blizzard, for destroying one of my favorite dungeon farms. All right, up next we've got ZF. ZF has been nerfed into the ground as well. Same thing as LBRS. After a certain amount of time in combat with these mobs, they'll just start stun locking you over and over and over, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. So this was another farm that I was really excited to come up with and share with everybody, because previously ZF was like thought to be an impossible farm, and once I had finally figured out how to do it, I was super excited to share with the community, because it was like a big challenge that we overcame, and it just got better and better and better until it became a really nice little gold farm you could do to earn some money on the side. Unfortunately, Blizzard thought that this was unacceptable and it has been removed from the game, so that is unfortunate. Goodbye, ZF. It was fun. Let's go on to the next one here. This is just a screenshot from my channel of all the different gold farms that I had come up with when I first started my channel, starting with the TBC classic mage slave pens on the bottom right there. Started out as a really bad, like voiceless, just gameplay with music behind it type of guide. And finally, as we progress more and more, we see Black Morass, Old Hillsbrad, Scalomance, LBRS, ZG, Strathholm, Slave Pens again, Sunken Temple, Blackrock Depths, Dire Maul. Did a little 2-mage Hellfire Ramps action, Steam Vaults, Oldmon, and so on and so forth. All of these have been completely eliminated and are now obsolete videos on my channel. Unfortunately, that one really hurts. I mean, these were my first videos that I made, and I was super proud that I finally decided to make a YouTube channel. And now these videos are all completely obsolete and will no longer be getting views because these things are now impossible. So if you previously were using any of these things to make money for yourself, sorry, you can't do them anymore. One of my more recent farms was a Dire Maul farming video where you farm the Librams in order to turn them in for the Insane title or to sell them to other people who are farming the Insane title. This is also now an obsolete video. It was cool while it lasted. It was a very short-lived kind of farm because we weren't really doing it for that long, but if you wanted to do it, sorry, you can't do it anymore. Completely ruined. Basically, how this seems to be working is anytime a higher level character enters a lower level dungeon, for instance, LBRS, Strat, ZF, Oldemon, RFK, things like that, where the mobs are grayed out to the higher level character, they will get this stun that is unbubbleable, unfappable, and unavoidable after about a minute of being in combat. So you can expect to see this across any dungeon that you try to enter when you're a high level character attempting to farm that dungeon. Now, what I also found was I entered LBRS as a level 60. After over a minute in combat with that mob, it was not stunning me, which means that at a appropriate level range, these mobs will not have those effects enabled. It only applies when the character in the group or in the dungeon is much higher level than the dungeon itself. Then the mobs will have the stun enabled and you will not be able to farm it for very long. So in summary, the following dungeons are either no longer viable or are just flat out impossible. We're talking about LBRS, ZF, Oldemon, Ramps, Dire Maul, BRD, Sunken Temple, and Scholomance. Now, like I said, it's not all bad. There are still a few things that we are able to do and farm for gold. One of those being Stratholme. Now, I've never really been a big Stratholme farmer, but this is one of the most popular dungeon farms in the game for Paladin. But it looks like Stratholme is taking a major hit as well. I mean, people were min-maxing Stratholme to the point that I couldn't even believe it. Most of it I didn't even want to learn because people had just taken it so far that it was just such a steep learning curve that I didn't want to even attempt it. But it looks like that it doesn't really matter because at this point, the only thing that I was able to really do efficiently was maybe like a 220 or 240 Stratholme, and even that was taking me in upwards of 13-14 minutes. So it's way down from what it used to be, and it's definitely not as easy as it was, and you do need a little bit of gear to pull it off. So Stratholme is still viable to farm, just like if you're doing nothing else, I suppose, and you really don't have anything else you can do, then Stratholme, you can still try it out. But one thing that is definitely still viable and is actually even better than before is actually the Slave Pens. So the thing about the Slave Pens is it's basically unchanged. The only difference is because these mobs are actually green to us, we can still grant experience to other players in the party, meaning that the boost is still active and you are able to do this efficiently just like you were able to do it before. There's really nothing changed. The only difference here is that the mobs in the dungeon are going to start running faster after a small period of time of being in combat. And the 96 mob boost is a little bit wonky because the teleport feature that the mobs have been given is extremely strange and it behaves in really weird ways. Just check out this clip from my stream earlier and you can see exactly what I mean.
Alright. We're going to the corner. I'm gonna pop my Colossus here. And then we're gonna wait for these casters. Okay, and now we're going up. And I'm gonna bubble and see what happens. So we're not getting... Okay. So they just kind of follow you around, no matter what you do. Oh my gosh, they're not only teleporting themselves, they're teleporting me. Which kind of makes it scuffed. So a lot of these you won't get experience for, but I think if you do this. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, that's hard. Bruh. That is hard.
So I think what I'll be doing is just running the 53 mob boosts and then selling those for a high price. As with the increase of demand and the decrease of supply, the price will rise. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to increase the price and we're going to start charging people a massive amount of money to do Slave Pens boosts. As with the 50% experience bonus, it's actually really good right now. And nobody else can do it except for paladins right now, or sometimes I've been seeing these duo mage groups, but I don't think they're as good. So basically your options for farming gold right now are going to be Stratholme and Slave Pens. And you can also try to maybe sell an old Hillsbrad boost, as this is going to be the same changes as Slave Pens. The mobs are just running faster. And yeah, I don't really think that old Hillsbrad really ever caught on, but if there was ever a time, you might want to try it now. And then Shattered Halls maybe has its place doing like very small boosts, although that is not quite viable yet, as we're not as strong as we need to be to make Shattered Halls extremely good as a boost. So you should probably just stick to Slave Pens and Stratholme for now, and maybe throw in some other stuff if you get bored. So That's pretty much it, guys. All our gold farms have been essentially ruined, and it seems like Blizzard is doing this because they are not able to handle the problem of bots and boosters effectively. So they have just kind of placed this blanket fix, which affects a ton of solo dungeon farmers like myself and like many members of my community, which is really unfortunate because a lot of that stuff is just about the challenge and the fun of being able to do something crazy like that. And it was never about harming the economy or making anyone else have a bad time. It's really just kind of challenging yourself to do things that you didn't think were possible before. And that's effectively been removed from the game, which really sad to me because it was always one of my favorite parts about the game is going into these older dungeons and trying to see what I could come up with. So really sad to see it go. But like I said in my Discord, you know, when one door closes, another one opens. So as much as I hate to see it go, there's definitely going to be more stuff in the future that we're going to be able to do. And this is just TBC. So we're not even talking about what we're going to be able to do in Wrath. That's another story entirely. And who knows, maybe some of these farms will come back in Wrath because our damage goes up and we won't have to stay in combat for as long. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Still trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. No, I'm not going away. I will still be pumping out content, whether it is gold farm related or not. We will have to see. But I'm assuming I'll be able to figure something out. So stay tuned for that, guys. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.